Luo Feng successfully obtained the Tribulation armor. After entering the original star, he could practically walk sideways without fear. A top-tier supreme treasure, the Sword River Luo, was born into the world. Luo Feng single-handedly fought against 8 universe venerables. Luo Feng arrived at the Yan God clan. He sought his second senior brother Yan Emperor to demand the Tribulation armor. However, Yan Emperor made things difficult for him in every possible way and consistently refused to hand it over. He even revealed Luo Feng's coordinates, drawing countless powerhouses to hunt him down. But relying on the Moshe clan clone's innate secret technique, Domain Luo Feng successfully escaped the pursuit of numerous experts. In the end, he finally met Yan Emperor face to face. Luo Feng asked him directly whether he never intended to hand over the Tribulation armor. Yan Emperor still did not dare to openly refuse. He could only repeatedly use insufficient strength as an excuse. Seeing this, Luo Feng stopped wasting words and laid everything bare. He said that if Yan Emperor refused to hand over the Tribulation armor, he would immediately report the matter to sitting mountain guest. If their master decided that the armor should remain with Yan Emperor, then he would never come to disturb him again. After saying this, Luo Feng turned and left. That move struck directly at Yan Emperor's weakness. From beginning to end, he never truly dared to defy sitting mountain guest's orders. If the matter reached their master, the one in the wrong would only be himself. So he immediately froze time and space, pulled Luo Feng back into the main hall, and said he had never claimed he wouldn't give the Tribulation armor, he had merely been advising Luo Feng. Then unwillingly, he flipped his hand and produced the Tribulation armor, allowing Luo Feng to take it on the spot. Looking at the transparent supreme treasure covered in flowing secret patterns, Luo Feng could barely contain his excitement. He immediately extended his hand, wrapped it with divine power around the armor, and branded it with his life imprint. After completely refining it, he stored the Tribulation armor inside his world ring. Without lingering any longer, he turned and left the Yan God clan's territory. Through God Kingdom teleportation, Luo Feng returned to the human territory within the Qianwu universe country. After several consecutive teleports, he returned to his own God Kingdom. Standing above the endless surface of the Nether Sea, Luo Feng could finally activate the Tribulation armor in peace. The transparent battle armor perfectly fused with his immortal godly body. A boundless surge of power instantly flooded his entire being. Only then did he fully comprehend the characteristics of the Tribulation armor. Unlike other supreme treasures that rely on law comprehension to activate, its power depended solely on the strength of the user's godly body. The stronger the godly body, the more terrifying the power it could unleash. Feeling the amplification granted by the Tribulation armor, Luo Feng was overjoyed. He then separated the armor from his main body and transformed it into a streak of light, merging it into the distant golden-horned beast clone to test its power. After both his original body and clone confirmed the heaven-defying effects of the Tribulation armor, Luo Feng connected his consciousness to the virtual universe, intending to inform his teacher, True Yan Venerable, that he was about to head to the original star. On the mountainside of Thunder Island in the virtual universe, in front of True Yan Venerable's palace, several universe venerables were seated together drinking and chatting. Nujo Venerable, with triangular horns on his head, was telling everyone that after the original star opened this time, a divine palace suddenly appeared on one of the stars housing a top-tier supreme treasure, the heavenly Liu Sail. This treasure combined offense-defense and escape into one. It attracted 3 universe lords, 18 universe overlords, and over 100 universe venerables into a brutal battle. After the palace closed for 6 years and reopened, only half of those who entered survived. In the end, the treasure fell into the hands of a universe lord from the Northern Frontier Alliance. The surrounding venerables teased Nujo Venerable not to exaggerate like before. He hurriedly defended himself, saying he had just learned this from a friend who had entered the original star. He also sighed that a top-tier supreme treasure was enough to drive universe lords into madness. The original star had only been open for just over 100 years. There wouldn't yet be many treasures appearing, but if several more top-tier supreme treasures emerged, universe lords might even fall because of them. At that moment, they saw Luo Feng flying over. They immediately recognized the name Blade River King. They joked with True Yan Venerable, saying that Luo Feng had previously escaped countless alien pursuits, and his life-preserving abilities were even stronger than his teacher's. True Yan Venerable smiled and replied that Luo Feng was a future pillar of the human race. So naturally, his survival methods had to be exceptional. After landing, Luo Feng bowed to True Yan Venerable, then greeted the other venerables and took a seat. One venerable asked with a smile. They had long heard he was heading to the original star. Why hadn't he departed? Yet, after all, once entering the original star, one could no longer connect to the virtual universe. Another speculated that since Luo Feng possessed clone techniques, perhaps one of his clones had already entered. Luo Feng smiled and admitted he had not yet gone. He came this time to inform his teacher that he was about to depart for the original star and intended to venture in alone. As soon as he said this, the venerables present immediately tried to dissuade him. The original star was extremely dangerous. Even high-level universe venerables frequently fell there. They advised him to travel with companions. At that moment, Niuzhou Venerable spoke up. He said he possessed complete detailed records of everything that had happened during the 100+ years since the original star opened. He loved making friends and gathering intelligence. Among universe venerables, his information ranked in the top 3. He intended to send all the materials to Luo Feng so he could prepare in advance. Luo Feng was delighted and immediately thanked him. Niuzhou Venerable then seriously warned him the dangers of the original star were unpredictable. One moment it might be calm, the next, the emergence of a supreme treasure could attract large numbers of super powerhouses. Weaker experts might face instant annihilation. In his view, Luo Feng already possessed many supreme treasures, making him an obvious target. If he acted alone, his probability of survival would not exceed 10%. The venerables present felt this estimate was too conservative. After all, Luo Feng's domain technique was already famous for its heaven-defying escape ability. Luo Feng was somewhat surprised and asked whether the risk came from universe lords. He reasoned that over half the universe lords were scattered across 10,081 original stars, so the chance of encountering one was extremely low. Niuzhou Venerable immediately shook his head. The greatest risk was not universe lords, it was the environment of the original star itself. Each original star had limited space, yet gathered massive numbers of high-level universe venerables and universe overlords. Once Luo Feng's identity was exposed, alien experts could prepare in advance specifically to counter his domain technique, prevent him from escaping, and then join forces to kill him. Luo Feng nodded slightly. He knew clearly that once a trump card was exposed, it was no longer truly a trump card. Domain was powerful, but not invincible. Several universe overlords working together could break it. Some top-tier universe overlords could even handle it alone. Seeing this, Niuzhou Venerable once again advised him to find complementary partners. He then sent over the complete set of organized materials. Looking at the vast amount of data, Luo Feng secretly felt fortunate that he had already obtained the Tribulation armor. With this supreme treasure on him, it was equivalent to carrying a mobile fortress. Combined with the Mosha clan clone's transformation and aura-mimicking abilities after entering the original star, no one would be able to recognize him as Blade River King Luo Feng. He had already thoroughly understood the Tribulation armor's power. This supreme treasure was even more heaven-defying than the Thousand Treasures River. The Tribulation armor had 3 forms. First form required 100 million times the power of a World Lord to activate. It reduced material attacks to 1,000th soul attacks to 1/10th, and granted an additional 1 billion times World Lord power. Second form required 100 billion times World Lord power. It reduced material attacks to 1/10,000th and granted 1 trillion times World Lord power. Third form required 100 trillion times World Lord power. It reduced material attacks to 100,000th and granted 100 trillion times World Lord power. The reduction effect against soul attacks remained constant across all forms. The defensive capability of this supreme treasure was truly heaven-defying. If a universe lord burned their godly body to activate the third form, they could even withstand material attacks from another universe lord wielding a top-tier supreme treasure. If it were revealed on the original star, it would absolutely drive universe lords into a frenzy of deadly conflict. After leaving True Yan Venerable's palace, Luo Feng returned to his residence and carefully reviewed all the materials. After confirming everything, he was certain his plan was completely feasible. Meanwhile, Luo Feng's other clone had already arrived at the entrance to the original star passage. In the starry sky, more than 10 billion light-years away from human territory, Within a region ravaged by electromagnetic storms stood a 12-meter-tall figure. It was Luo Feng's Mosha clan clone transformed into a purple cocoon beast with silver-curved horns, grey scales, and a scorpion-like tail stinger emanating a bloody and tyrannical aura. Perched on its shoulder was a 1-meter-long golden-horned beast, the miniaturized golden-horned beast clone. Luo Feng used the Mosha clan clone to disguise his appearance, hid the Nether Sea clone inside a world ring, and allowed the Nether Sea clone's aura to seep out through the ring, posing as two experts from the Starry Sky Giant Beast Alliance. Among the 9 superpowers of the universe, the Starry Sky Giant Beast Alliance was the most transcendent and mysterious. Even the location of its headquarters remained an unsolved cosmic mystery. Its members rarely appeared in public, and the various races were unwilling to provoke them lightly. Meanwhile, the name Blade River King had long spread across the universe. If Luo Feng entered the original star in his true identity, he would undoubtedly be treated as a walking treasury, drawing joint sieges from multiple races. Disguising himself as a Starry Sky Giant Beast would minimize such trouble. Ahead, within the raging storm, was the original star passage, 100 billion kilometers in diameter. The pressure emitted by the passage was enough to crush ordinary undying immortals. Luo Feng stepped into the passage with the golden-horned beast clone. Amid ever-increasing oppressive force, he passed through and arrived inside the original star. The moment he entered, Luo Feng felt a terrifying pressure covering the entire world. This pressure far exceeded the core of a neutron star, even stronger than the ice prison he had once experienced. Each of the 10,081 original stars had a diameter of 100 billion kilometers. Spatial fluctuations inside were completely frozen. The overwhelming pressure not only crushed ordinary immortals, but also completely sealed teleportation and God Kingdom teleportation. Even top experts would face extreme limitations in acceleration and turning. The entire planet was like a top-tier domain-type supreme treasure, suppressing all who entered. The Mosha clan clone possessed 100-fold life gene level and 10 million times World Lord power. Even so, walking on the original star felt noticeably strenuous. He passed through mountains and forests into a wasteland, traveling while sensing energy fluctuations, the most common method experts used to search for treasures here. Before long, he detected energy waves in the distance and immediately burned divine power to accelerate toward them. Upon arrival, he saw 5 universe venerables battling atop rolling hills. One side belonged to the demon race, the other to experts from the 9 Domains Alliance. Around them, 6 additional factions lay hidden, observing from afar, yet none dared to intervene rashly. Soon the demon race experts noticed more and more forces gathering nearby. For just a few supreme treasures, it wasn't worth prolonged entanglement. They immediately withdrew with their companions. The 9 Domains Alliance experts also left in a sorry state. After the combatants dispersed, the observing factions also departed without conflict. This confirmed the records Luo Feng had studied. Experts on the original star were extremely cautious. Without sufficient profit and absolute confidence, they would never act lightly. Luo Feng soon discovered another rule of the original star. The grass, trees, soil, and stones were fused with the planet itself. Even if destroyed or taken by force, they would quickly return to their original state, impossible to remove. Only treasures naturally born and not bound to the planet could truly be taken away. While wandering through the forest, he unexpectedly dug out a silver cubic ceiling-type supreme treasure from the soil, its power comparable to Sealing Star. Having gained something so soon after entering delighted Luo Feng. After that, he found a hidden forest and began lying low. The original star's opening cycle lasted 1,000 epochs. The probability of a top-tier supreme treasure appearing was extremely low. Set-type supreme treasures and ordinary supreme treasures were the most common targets of contention. 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. Luo Feng obtained only 2 supreme treasures. 3 times he sensed the aura of set-type supreme treasures emerging. But each time the distance was too great. By the time he arrived, the struggle had already ended. During these 2 years, thanks to his Starry Sky Giant Beast disguise, he attracted no trouble and even gained some reputation in the region. He also witnessed the fierce battles between the 4 pinnacle races on the original star. Just as he was reflecting that he hadn't fought in 2 years, a special treasure aura suddenly spread from afar, and it was extremely close. At the very least, it was a set-type supreme treasure. possibly even an ordinary supreme treasure. Luo Feng was instantly excited. The previous 3 times he had missed the competition. This time it was right nearby. He immediately burned divine power and rushed toward the source, switching to combat mode at the same time. The Nether Sea clone appeared, transforming into purple cocoon beast form. The Moshe clan clone hid inside the world ring. With the Tribulation armor's augmentation, the golden horned beast clone's defense and combat power had reached the universe overlord level. He feared no frontal battle. Soon Luo Feng arrived above a swamp. Within the swamp water, a black sword hilt the size of a mountain was slowly rising, continuously releasing treasure aura. Since it was a single treasure, it was undoubtedly a supreme treasure. And he was the first to arrive. Luo Feng immediately dived down, placing his hand on the hilt to refine it, but discovered the treasure had not fully emerged. It was still fused with the swampland, making refinement impossible. At that moment, 3 high-level universe venerables from the prison clan arrived. Seeing a lone supreme treasure emerging, they were instantly thrilled. They roared at Luo Feng, ordering him to give it up or face death without end. Luo Feng ignored them, completely standing guard beside the treasure and issuing a silent warning glance. The prison clan's towering golden flame giant, over 10 kilometers tall, landed with 2 black-winged venerables. He was still mocking, but in the next second, Luo Feng's Nether Sea clone and golden horned beast clone expanded simultaneously. The Nether Sea clone grew to over 9,000 kilometers tall. The golden horned beast clone reached 10,000 kilometers in length. Their sky-shrouding forms instantly changed the prison clan experts' expressions. The prison clan quickly formulated a strategy. One would entangle the golden horned beast. One would entangle the purple cocoon beast. The third would seize the treasure and end things quickly. But just as they were about to act, the golden horned beast struck first. It activated the golden thread aurora mirror, burning divine power to spread a golden domain covering 100 million kilometers. The overwhelming resistance instantly restricted the 3 prison clan experts. The power of this top-tier domain-type supreme treasure directly erased their numerical advantage. The golden flame giant wielded a flaming divine hammer and smashed it toward the golden horned beast. The golden horned beast roared thunderously, unfurling the Wu Slayer wings, transforming them into 2 giant battle blades, and dived to meet the attack. With Luo Feng's pinnacle secret technique, combined with supreme treasure weaponry and universe overlord level divine body amplification, even if his beast god comprehension was slightly weaker, it was more than enough to handle high-level universe venerables. Meanwhile, the Nether Sea clone, wearing the golden Zhenhou King armor, burned divine power to unleash the 3rd move of the myriad stars spread Dao diagram. Thousands of black phantoms converged mid-air into a towering beast god that roared and crashed toward the 2 black-winged prison clan venerables. With the golden thread aurora domain restricting them, both clones unleashed their full power. From the very first exchange, they completely suppressed the 3 high-level prison clan venerables. Just as the battle reached a stalemate, 2 additional squads arrived, one from the Hong Alliance, one from the Northern Frontier Alliance. They joined forces with the prison clan. 8 high-level universe venerables launched a simultaneous assault. The golden horned beast spread the Wu Slayer wings in full defensive mode. Even under joint bombardment from all 8, it stood firm as a mountain. At that exact moment, the black sword fully emerged. Luo Feng immediately mobilized divine power and branded it with his life imprint, completing refinement. However, he discovered that this treasure born from the original star did not transmit informational guidance like other natural treasures. Without time to ponder, he absorbed the black sword into his body. Seeing the supreme treasure had already been refined, and fearing the golden horned beast's terrifying defense and enormous godly body, the 8 universe venerables abandoned their attempt and withdrew. A purple metal venerable from the Northern Frontier Alliance recognized it. The black sword was a divine sword component of the top-tier supreme treasure sword river Luo.